Illustrator and Photoshop are like Batman and Robin. They work great together. As you see here with my mascot Hannibal, I have some very hard vector shadows here that I simply put in myself inside of Illustrator. But what if I wanted nice soft shadows, the kind you can get by using Photoshop? Or if I wanted to add a liquify filter or a lens effect or anything like that? Well, what I can do is I can export this image by itself or any layers that I have right into Photoshop. And just to demonstrate that, I'm going to create a brand new layer, and on this layer I'll just add something like a star, just to show you that this will go along with the export operation. So we have one layer with the star and one layer with Hannibal here, the elephant or the mammoth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Export. On my desktop I'll save this as a PSD file format. This stands for Photoshop Document, and then I'll simply hit Export. Another dialog box opens up, and you'll see that I can choose two things here, CMYK and RGB. Now I'm not going to mention grayscale because that's simply a black and white version, but for now we want to focus on these two. Now if you choose RGB, you'll notice something interesting happen. We lose the ability to write to layers. So if you want to keep your layers, choose CMYK, and then click right here and you'll bring your layers in. If you want to maintain the ability to edit your artwork inside of Photoshop, also choose maximum editability. And if you want an anti-alias, choose this. You can also choose your resolution. So if you're going to go to the web or something, I would still suggest going at a high resolution because you can always lower the res later on. I think that it's better to work at a higher resolution when you're adding effects and when you're adding detail, and then you drop the resolution in Photoshop when you're ready to go to the web. So I'm going to go ahead and choose high 300 pixels. And then once this is all said and done and exported, I'm going to head over to Photoshop. So let me go to my desktop real fast and make sure it's there. And yes, it is. Okay, great. I'm ready to go. I'm going to head over to Photoshop. I'll go to File and Open. And I'll head over to my desktop, and here it is, mascot2.psd. I'll hit Open. And here he is. Let's see what we have here. Let's take a look at the Layers panel. As you can see, we have the star. I can click on the eyeball to hide it. And we also have our elephant. So why in the world would you want to do this? Well, let's say, I'll go ahead and use the star for an example here, that you want to add some nice soft shading. So I'm going to zoom in on the star. I might want to use, let's say, the dodge or burn tool to change how this looks a little bit. So I can go and choose the dodge tool to add some highlights, or the burn tool to add some shadows or dark tones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Command or Control click on the star layer to make sure I have a selection, and then I'm going to simply paint. And you'll notice that it's getting darker as I paint on this star. Okay. And I'll go ahead and increase my exposure a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. I can also use the dodge tool to add some highlights. And you'll notice that it's getting brighter over here. Now you can do this with any artwork that you bring inside of Photoshop this way. I'll press Command or Control and the letter D to deselect. So bringing artwork into Photoshop from Illustrator gives you the ability to apply all of these great filters. And you'll notice, by the way, that some of them are not here. So what's going on? Well, even though we had to export as CMYK from Illustrator to get all our layers here, doesn't mean we have to stay there inside of Photoshop. We can go to Image, Mode, and choose RGB color. Once we change our color profile, we can tell Photoshop to take all of our layers and merge them or not to merge them. I typically don't do that so that my layers remain intact. And now all of my filters are available to me. You see, some of them don't work in CMYK mode. So to get out of Illustrator and you want to get your layers, you have to export as CMYK. But once you get to Photoshop, simply turn it into RGB and then you can go to work. And you can add all kinds of effects here. So let me go ahead and just delete this star for now and show you some of the things that we can do here. So here's our elephant, right? And I'm going to open up the group here, And I'm going to go to the filter menu, and I'll choose like the artistic category and watercolor. And you can add all kinds of effects like this to your artwork. And a lot of these effects are not available inside of Illustrator. So you'll be able to add all kinds of great effects like this and cancel that. And you can add liquify and lens correction and all kinds of great things. So that's truly the benefit to using both applications.